I have maintained forever that if I were running for president, you know what I would do? I would shoot all my commercials in the grocery store, and I would just focus on one thing. I am going to lower your grocery bill.
No.
Super smart.
I am going to be
I love
the
that.
grocery guy. I'm the grocery candidate. I'd bag groceries. I'd stay in the grocery store.
Great
and
idea.
I'd say this is just a symbol of everything's wrong with politics. Everything starts on aisle 6. It all grows from there. Phil Lempert's a guru of all things related to groceries. And when Phil's on, he gives us a dose of realism, and we don't like it that much. But we like Phil. Good morning to you.
Good morning. And, I agree. I'm not sure that everything starts in aisle 6. Everything starts in the ground. And that's the problem that we're having right now with agriculture and prices because of all the climate change that's happening, all the inclement weather that's happening, the rise in gas prices. From agriculture in the ground to aisle 6, I'm there.
Let's start with, if you don't mind, let's start with the other end of this. And that is the concern in a cynical time that we're getting gouged. Grocery stores generally operate with very thin margins, huge volume, thin margins. Can't speak for everybody. Certainly support the mom and pop shops, what few of them are left. The big grocers, any gouging going on in your opinion?
There's price gouging going on, yes, but not from the grocers. Keep in mind that it's really the brands that we've got the problem with. The average retailer, grocery retailer, makes about 1.5% net profit a year, so it's not coming from them. And keep in mind that during the pandemic, what we had is we had a lot of increased costs with cleanliness, with higher labor costs and the like. But it's the brands that when you really hear these calls to Wall Street where they're increasing prices, where retailers, whether it's, Dom's who are fighting it or, Jewel that are fighting it, Whole Foods are fighting it. There's a war going on behind the scenes where these grocery retailers are not accepting and don't want to accept these price increases from the brands. But it's the brands, it's not the retailer.
Hi, Phil. So I am planning a big Christmas dinner. It's the more is more or less as a bore mentality. I'm going to have everything. A standing rib roast. I'm probably going to have like the Greek version of lasagna called pasticcio. I'll have sides. I'll have desserts. I'm going to do it all. What product is going to cost me the most this year? Is it going to be the meat? Is it going to be all the produce that I'm going to need to create everything? Will it be the drinks?
Well, Jane, first of all, I've got to say that somehow my invite has gotten lost in the mail.
Oh, good point.
No, everyone's invited.
I need Steve to help me out here.
Good point.
So, when we look at the BLS data, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, what we saw in October is an increase of 0.3%. When we look year-round, it's 3.3% increase. That's over a 20% increase that we saw in the previous years. So our prices are higher. They're not going to come down. To your point, this year, what we're going to see is meats, poultry, fish, and eggs are up. Beef is up. Pork is up. No question about it. And that's before the flood that we saw in the Pacific Northwest just over the past 48 hours. So when we look at the Pacific Northwest, that's really important for Christmas time. That's apples, hops, wheat, pears, all kinds of berries, whether it's blueberries or raspberries or blackberries, cherries, also hazelnuts, which is a staple at Christmas time. But also, what you really need to be concerned about, if you haven't bought your Christmas tree yet, most of the Christmas trees in the nation come from the Pacific Northwest. So, because of the floods and the problem with getting them cut down, if you haven't bought your Christmas tree yet, run out today and get it. Don't be one of these people who'd say, I want it the night before Christmas, and that's when I'm going to put it up, because the prices are going to be higher and the availability is going to be less.
The suppliers to the grocery stores, I don't want to just get stuck on this inflation thing, but let's take something that really is one of the things that makes America great, Oreos. Oreo cookies. Americans shouldn't be deprived. And yet I believe I'm 100% correct on this. Literally double the price that it was 1 year ago, depending on the size of the package, I suppose. But the regular size package of Oreos, double the price. Is this the companies that are jacking this? Because the whole notion here, Phil, and I think you talked to us about this before, is you raise the price up to a certain point, there's a shock value. You're going to buy food anyway because you got to eat.
Right.
And eventually you're going to drop the price. But when you drop the price, it seems like you won, even though it still might be 50% higher than you paid a year ago. So what's your take on all of that with stuff that's not farmer-based but made by the manufacturers?
Well, again, it is farmer-based because when you look at the ingredients, they're coming from the soil, whether it's the sugar, whether it's the dairy.
Or the Oreo farm.
Yeah, the Oreo farm, of course, where labor has gone through the roof. So there's two things. Yes, it's the brand. It's, Heinz Kraft who are, creating those inflationary products because what they saw during the pandemic is we gravitated towards products like Oreos to make us feel better as we got through the pandemic. That's number one. Number two, about shrinkflation, that there's a lot of products out there, and I haven't looked at Oreos, so I'm not accusing them, but there's a lot of products that what they've done is if there were, let's say, 50 cookies before, now there's only 40 cookies, but it's the same size package, or that the cookie itself is smaller. So they're really hitting us from two sides. One is the product themselves, the contents of the package that's out there, as well as their increased costs of sugar. Sugar has gone through the roof. Wheat, we've got problems because of the war in Ukraine and Russia with the amount of wheat that's available globally. So these are the kinds of issues that the prices are going up. However, I will say, and I agree with you 100%, that a lot of these brands are milking it for whatever it's worth. Because they're showing record profits, they're showing record CEO salaries and bonuses than ever before. And in the meantime, we have to go in the store and pay twice as much for, a package of Oreos.
So there's politics everywhere, and there's certainly politics in the grocery store. And the one sermon we preach every single day is you got to be involved at a time where you're cynical and you're disgusted by the process and you don't want to be involved. You don't think you can trust anybody, and it's that they all lie, so why does it matter attitude. You got to be more involved.
Absolutely. And what you really want to do is you want to switch to store brands that are 20 or 30% less. You want to, not buy the products that they're gouging us. That's our voice to be able to fight this. If we want prices to come down, we've got to switch our behaviors and show these companies that we're just not going to buy their products.
Is that why Aldi's doing so well?
Sorry?
Is that why Aldi is doing so well when it comes to increasing their share?
Aldi is doing fabulous. And if you look at Aldi, I've been in their kitchens. I've talked to their quality control people. Their standards are the highest that are out there for store brands. And again, about 95% of what's in their store are their store brands. For the Christmas holiday, what they did is they reduced the price of 70 holiday foods up to 50% off. We do have other people like Walmart and Costco who have special Christmas holiday deals. But, Aldi, for me, I like because it's not prepackaged that you've got to get the turkey and the stuffing. Mm-hmm. You can go in there and get whatever products you want. But Aldi is great. I mean, it's all about, efficiencies. They don't have a lot of people in their stores. What I also love is they let their cashiers sit down. That tells you something about, the company itself, that they care about their employees.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just real quick before I let you go, in regards to that politics end of this, the president and Congress can do something about this and have chosen to back burner it, not do it. Why?
Well, they can do only so much.
We'll take so much over nothing. And so far I'm seeing a lot of nothing.
Yes, totally agree. I mean, they have been having some meetings and so on, but what you really need to do is you really need to tell these companies that you can't price gouge. We need to look at their cost of increase, and there have been increased costs in labor and in raw materials, but equate that to the prices that you're having. If you've got a cost increase of 7%, sure, increase your price 7%. Don't double it.
I like it.
I know we're late here, but the shrinking of package sizes, too, with the higher prices, all those things going on, the tricks they're playing. Listen, Phil, I'm endorsing you for president, and we need you to pick a running mate. Let's go.
You could be the running mate.
Well, it's Jane.
Oh, because
Yeah,
you
I
can
don't
come to
blame
my
you.
Christmas
But
party.
But only if I get an invite to Christmas.
You're
That's
always
good.
invited,
Already
Phil
working
Lempert.
the
You
lobbyists.
can come over
Look,
anytime.
he's already working the lobbyists. It's unbelievable.
And I'm going to be smart about it. I'm going to go store branding. I like it.
I got a great text here from Mark we'll get to after the break. Phil, thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
And where do we get to you and everything you're doing?
Supermarketguru.com.
Supermarketguru.com. The great Phil
He's the
Lempert,
best.
the grocery guru.